I spent $67,000 on my sister's wedding. She tore up my invite, only used you for. My name is Mateo Ruiz. I'm 32 years old, an architect with my own studio, and I grew up being the second choice. The son who didn't shine bright enough. The one who was good enough, but never exceptional compared to my younger sister, Sophia. Sophia was 27 years old, 5 years younger than me, and had been the family star since she was born. The spoiled daughter of my parents, Gabriel and Lucia, who treated her like she walked on water. When I bought my apartment at 28, a beautiful 3-bedroom space with a rooftop pool and jacuzzi, my father commented, "Not bad for someone without a family." When Sophia turned 25 with no job or plans, my mother said, "She has time. She's young and beautiful." The pattern was clear. I was functional. Sophia was loved. But I kept trying. I kept searching for that approval that never came. I paid for family dinners, gave them money when they needed it, fixed things at their house for free, all looking for crumbs of recognition. And then came the call that would change everything. "Mateo, we need you to do something for your sister," my father said over the phone one afternoon. "What does she need?" I asked. "Already resigned. Let her live with you," my father said as if it were obvious. "She has no money and got evicted. You have 3 bedrooms. You live alone. It makes sense." "Dad, I work from home frequently. I need my space. My office is in one of those rooms." "Mateo," my mother said with that tone of disappointment I knew too well. "She's your sister. Family helps family. Or are you going to let your younger sister end up on the street?" The guilt. Always the guilt. "For how long?" I asked with resignation. "Just until she finds something," my father promised. "A couple of months maximum." Sophia moved in a week later with 4 large suitcases, 5 boxes, and an attitude like she was doing me a favor by accepting to live in my tiny apartment. "It's not as big as I thought," was the first thing she said upon entering. "But I guess it'll do temporarily. My 180 square meters apartment with terrace, pool, and jacuzzi will do temporarily." Perfect. The first days were exactly what I expected. Sophia treating me like her personal servant. She left dirty dishes all over the kitchen, used the pool and left wet towels lying around. She played loud music until 2 in the morning. "Could you turn down the music?" I asked one night. "I have an important presentation early tomorrow." "Relax, Mateo," she said without lowering the volume. "You're so boring. That's why you don't have a girlfriend, you know." Words that hurt more than they should have. But then, after 2 weeks, something changed. I came home after a meeting with a client and found the kitchen clean, impeccably clean. Sophia was cooking something that smelled delicious. "Sophia?" I asked, confused. "Hi, brother," she said with a radiant smile I'd never seen directed at me. "I'm making lasagna, your favorite, right?" I remembered Mom used to make it and you always asked for seconds. I froze. Sophia had remembered something about me, something personal, something she'd noticed. "Yes, it's my favorite," I said cautiously. "What's going on? Why are you being so nice?" "Can't I be nice to my brother?" she asked, her smile never wavering. "I've been thinking a lot lately about our relationship, about how I've treated you, and I realized I've been horrible to you." "Oh," I said, not knowing how to respond. "The truth is, I've always been jealous," she continued, serving 2 plates of lasagna. "You're successful, independent, you have your own company. And me, well, I haven't done much with my life. I think I took that out on you by being mean. But I want to change that. I want us to have a real sibling relationship. Do you think we could try?" Her words sounded so genuine. Her eyes seemed so sincere. And I, desperate for any real family connection, clung to that hope like a drowning man to a life raft. "I'd love that," I said, feeling something warm in my chest. "I really would." The following weeks were a dream. Sophia cleaned without being asked. She cooked regularly. She asked about my day. We watched movies together. She even came to one of my project presentations and told me she was proud of me. Proud of me. Words I'd never heard from my family. "Mateo," she said one night while we were watching TV, "can I ask you a favor?" "Sure," I said, now relaxed with her. "I need $500 for some graphic design courses I want to take. I'm trying to find my professional path finally. Could you lend it to me?" Lend her? Well, more like give her, because she'd never return the money. But we were building a real relationship now. "No problem," I said, transferring the money that same night. "Thank you, brother," she said, hugging me. "You're the best." That was the first of many loans. $700 here, $800 there, $1,200 for emergencies. In 2 months, I'd given her almost $5,000, but I didn't care. I finally had a sister who appreciated me, or so I thought. 3 months after moving in, Sophia came home practically floating with happiness. "Mateo, I have incredible news," she shouted, dropping her bag on the couch. "What happened?" I asked, smiling at her enthusiasm. "I'm getting married." I froze. "What? With whom? Since when do you have a boyfriend?" "His name is Damien," she said excitedly. "We met 4 months ago on an app. He's amazing, Mateo. So handsome, so successful. He works in finance, and he proposed to me last night. Look at the ring. She showed me a ring that looked fake. Wow, I said, processing. That's fast. 4 months. When you know, she said with that sparkle in her eyes that only people madly in love have. And Mateo, I want you to be part of this. I know we've had a complicated past, but these last months you've been incredible. You're the best brother I could ask for. I felt warmth in my chest. Finally, I was valued. Of course I want to be part of it, I said, hugging her. I'm happy for you. Is there something else? She said, her expression becoming more serious. The wedding. We want to get married in 3 months, but Mateo, we don't have much money. Damien is still paying off debts from his master's degree, and me, well, you know my situation. Mom and Dad said they can help with $5,000, but we need at least $70,000 for the wedding we want. I saw the question coming before she asked it. Are you asking me to pay for your wedding? I asked directly. Not all of it, she said quickly. Just most of it. I know it's a lot to ask, but Mateo, you're successful. You have a thriving business. And more importantly, you're my brother. My older brother who's finally there for me. Could you do this for me? For us, $65,000 plus my parents' $5,000. It was an absurd amount of money, but I thought about the last 3 months, about how our relationship had changed, about how I finally had the family I'd always wanted. Okay, I said, I'll do it. Sophia screamed with happiness, jumping and hugging me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're the best brother in the world. I'm going to make you an important part of the wedding. I promise. In the end, I spent $67,000 because there's always just one more small extra that's needed. Before we continue with what happened next, if you're shocked by this level of manipulation, hit that like button and subscribe. Have you ever been used by a family member? Share your story in the comments below. Sophia introduced me to Damien 2 weeks after the engagement. Mateo, this is Damien, my fiancé, she said proudly. Damien was exactly the type of person I expected Sophia to choose, generically handsome with that arrogant confidence that comes from never having faced real consequences. Mateo, he said, giving me a weak handshake. The older brother, I've heard a lot about you. I hope good things, I said, trying to be friendly. Sure, he said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Sophia tells me you're an architect, right? You design little houses and stuff. Little houses and stuff, I repeated, feeling the condescension. Yes, something like that. Interesting, he said with no real interest. I'm in finance. Investment analyst. I work with millions daily. It's a completely different world. I wanted to point out that if he worked with millions, maybe he could pay for his own wedding, but I bit my tongue. The dinner I organized to get to know him better was uncomfortable. Damien spent most of the time talking about himself, his achievements, his plans. When I asked about the wedding, he looked at Sophia. Your brother is being very generous paying for everything, he said. Though honestly, for someone in my position, I would have preferred something more sophisticated, but it's fine for a limited budget. Limited budget of $67,000. Perfect. But Sophia seemed so happy, and that's what mattered, right? 2 weeks before the wedding, something changed in Sophia. She stopped cooking again, stopped cleaning, stopped asking about my day. She went back to leaving messes everywhere. Sophia, is everything okay? I asked after finding the kitchen destroyed for the 3rd time that week. I'm stressed, Mateo, she snapped. The wedding is in 2 weeks. Can't you give me a break? Sure, I was just asking. Well, stop asking. God, you're so annoying sometimes. I stayed quiet, thinking it was just pre-wedding stress. All brides got stressed, right? But it got worse every day. She spoke to me with disdain, like she had before. When I tried to talk about my day, she interrupted me. I'm not interested in your boring job, Mateo. The wedding day arrived. I got to the event venue an hour before the ceremony, dressed in my best suit, holding the golden invitation with silver edges that Sophia had personally given me 3 weeks earlier. At the entrance, 2 people with tablets were checking the guest list. Invitation, please, said a woman with a professional smile. I handed her my invitation. She scanned it, waited, frowned. Your name? She asked. Mateo Ruiz, I said. Brother of the bride. She checked her tablet, scrolling up and down. I don't see your name on the list. It has to be there, I said, confused. I'm Sophia's brother, the bride's brother. I'm sorry, sir, but you're not on the list. And this invitation, she looked closer, appears to be, well, it doesn't match our official invitations. What? No, this is impossible. My sister gave me this invitation personally. The man next to her intervened. Sir, we're going to have to ask you to leave. If you're not on the list, you can't enter. I'm not leaving, I said, my voice rising. I paid for this wedding. $67,000. This is my wedding as much as hers. Sir, if you don't leave voluntarily, we'll have to call security. Call them, I said, standing my ground. And call Sophia too. She'll clear this up. After 5 uncomfortable minutes with other guests staring at me curiously, Sophia appeared. She was wearing her wedding dress, the $8,000 one I had paid for. She looked beautiful and completely cold. What's the problem? She asked in a bored tone. Sophia, they're saying I'm not on the list, I explained, and that my invitation is fake. Obviously it's a mistake. It's not a mistake, she said with chilling calm. What? You're not on the list because you're not invited, she said, looking directly into my eyes. That invitation you have is fake. I gave it to you so you wouldn't make a scene before the wedding. I froze. Sure, I'd heard wrong. Sophia, what are you saying? Do I need to spell it out? She asked with cruelty that cut like a knife. You're not welcome here. here, Mateo. You never were. But I paid. Yes, you paid, she said with an unpleasant smile. And I appreciate it. I needed someone to finance my wedding, and you were perfect for that. Too desperate for approval, too pathetic to say no. The words hit me physically. I felt nausea in my stomach. Everything was a lie. I managed to ask. The last months, the kindness, cooking, saying you wanted a real relationship. Seriously, do I have to explain this? She mocked. Of course it was a lie. I needed money for my wedding. Mom suggested the strategy, make you feel wanted finally, and you'd do anything. And it worked perfectly. I never liked you, Mateo. Neither does Damien. You're boring, pathetic, desperate. I only used you to pay for my wedding. She took my invitation from my trembling hands, and in front of me, in front of the security guards, in front of several guests who had started to watch, she tore it into small pieces, letting them fall like confetti at my feet. I don't need you anymore, she said with finality. Get out. The world went silent. All I could hear was my heart breaking. But then, through the pain, something else emerged. Clarity, rage, determination. Perfect, I said, my voice surprisingly calm. But you forgot one small detail. What? She asked impatiently. You still live in my house. All your stuff is in my house. I pay for your cell phone, your credit card, everything. And also, I took out my phone, the honeymoon I paid for, the flights and the catering. I looked at my watch, arrives in 3 hours. All paid with my cards, all under my name. I saw the first flash of panic in her eyes. From this moment, I continued, feeling power for the first time in my life. You're out of my house. Your stuff will be on the street. Your credit card will be frozen. Your cell phone line cancelled. And this wedding you wanted so badly. I dialed the catering service number. They answered on the second ring. Yes, hello, I'm Mateo Ruiz. I need to cancel the service for today. I gave the details while Sophia watched me with growing horror. No, she screamed, trying to grab my phone. You can't do that. Service cancelled, I said after hanging up. Then I dialed another number. Travel agency. Yes, I need to cancel the honeymoon tickets. Mateo, stop. Sophia screamed with tears. You're my brother. Family doesn't do this to each other. Family? I repeated with bitter laughter. You just told me you never liked me, that you only used me, that I'm pathetic and desperate. And now I'm family. Now that I'm no longer useful. Please, she begged. The wedding is in an hour. You can't ruin it. Please. I'm done, I said, putting away my phone after canceling everything. Enjoy your wedding without catering. Enjoy your marriage without a honeymoon. And enjoy looking for a new place to live, because my house is no longer your house. I turned to leave. Sophia grabbed my arm. You can't leave. We need that catering. We need that honeymoon. You should have thought about that before humiliating me, I said, pulling away. Goodbye, Sophia. I hope it was worth it. I walked to my car while she screamed behind me. I didn't look back. I got to my apartment and worked fast. I called an emergency locksmith. It would cost triple, but I didn't care. I needed the locks changed now. While he worked, I started packing all of Sophia's things. All her clothes in trash bags, her beauty products in boxes, her books, her shoes, her accessories, everything. I froze the additional credit card I'd given her. I canceled her cell phone line. I blocked her access to my Netflix account, Spotify, everything. 2 hours later, all her belongings were in boxes in the building hallway. The locksmith had finished changing all the locks. My apartment was mine again. I poured myself a whiskey and sat on my terrace looking at the pool. My pool in my apartment that was only mine. My phone started ringing. Sophia. I declined the call. She called again and again. I blocked her number. Then my parents called. I blocked them too. Around 11 p.m., I heard knocking on my door. Sophia's voice, now hoarse from screaming so much. Mateo, open the door, please. I'm sorry. I walked to the door but didn't open it. What do you want? Sophia. My things. I can't get in. The locks. Your things are in the hallway, I said coldly. Take what you can carry tonight. I'll donate the rest tomorrow if you don't pick it up. Mateo, please, she begged, her voice breaking. I have nowhere to go. The wedding was a disaster. The catering never arrived. The guests complained. Damien is furious with me. He says I ruined everything. Please, let me in. Just for tonight. I opened the door just a crack. I saw her there, still in her wedding dress, with makeup running from tears. You humiliated me, I said, my voice trembling with contained rage. In front of security guards, in front of guests. You tore up my invitation in my face. You told me you only used me, that you never liked me, that I'm pathetic. I was angry, she started. No, I interrupted. You were being honest for the first time in months. And that honesty taught me exactly who you are. A manipulator. A user. Someone who sees their own family as tools to use and discard. We're siblings, she cried. No, I said firmly. Siblings don't treat each other like this. Siblings don't use each other like this. You stopped being my sister the moment you tore up that invitation. Now you're just someone I know who owes me $67,000 that I'll never get back. Where am I going to live? She asked desperately. With mom and dad, I said. Or with your wonderful husband. Or on the street. Honestly, I don't care. But not here. Never here again. Mateo, please. You have 5 minutes to take what you can carry, I said. After that, I'm calling building security. Your choice. I saw her there in her wrinkled wedding dress, crying, and I felt nothing. No compassion, no guilt, no sadness. Only relief. I closed the door in her face. I heard her sobs outside. I heard boxes being moved. After 10 minutes, silence. I looked through the peephole. The hallway was empty except for 2 boxes she couldn't carry. The following days were a bombardment of calls, messages, emails, from Sophia, from my parents, from aunts, from cousins, all telling me I'd gone too far, that I was cruel, that family forgives. I blocked everyone. 2 weeks later, my Aunt Carmen, the only person in my family who had always been fair to me, called. Mateo, I just want you to know I understand why you did what you did, she said, and I think you were right. Thank you, Aunt, I said, feeling a lump in my throat. Sophia is living with your parents now, she informed me, but with one condition, she has to work. She got a job at a cafe as a waitress. She's working full-time for the first time in her life. Good, I said. And Damien, well, he left Sophia a week after the wedding. Apparently his family was furious about the wedding disaster and pressured him to end the marriage. They're in the process of annulment. I should have felt satisfaction, but I only felt emptiness, not for Sophia, but for the years lost searching for love where there never was any. Today, 3 months later, I live alone in my apartment. My parents have tried to contact me several times, but I don't respond. Sophia sent a letter asking for forgiveness that I threw away without reading. I'm alone. Sometimes I feel lonely. Was it worth it? Absolutely. Because I learned something invaluable. That family love isn't automatic. You don't deserve it just for sharing blood. And you definitely shouldn't tolerate it when it comes with mistreatment, manipulation, and exploitation. I lost $67,000 and gained something priceless. My dignity. My apartment is mine. My life is mine. My peace is mine. And no parasitic family member will ever take that from me again.